my son George tonight.
He only thinks about others, God. That's why he's in trouble. George is a good guy. Give him a break, God.
I love him, dear Lord. Watch over him tonight. Please, God. Something's wrong with Daddy. Please bring Daddy back.
In the name of our Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, we pray that comes by the goodness of God, and make such a good man who stands the Lord Jesus, who does so much better than his master. Please.
Hello, Joseph. Trouble?
Looks like we need to send someone down. A lot of people are asking for help for a man named George Bailey.
Ah, George Bailey. Yes. Tonight's his crucial night. You're right. We'll have to send someone down immediately. Whose turn is it?
Well, that's why I came to see you, sir. It's that clockmaker's turn again.
Ah, Clarence. Hasn't got his wings yet, has he? We've passed him up right along.
Well, as you know, sir, he has the IQ of a rabbit.
Yes, but the faith of a child. Simple. Joseph, send for Clarence.
You sent for me, sir?
Yes, Clarence. A man down on earth needs our help.
Oh, splendid! Is he sick?
No, worse. In fact, he's discouraged. At exactly 10:45 p.m. tonight, Earth time, that man will be thinking seriously of throwing away God's greatest gift.
Oh dear, his life. Well, then I've only got an hour to dress. What are they wearing today?
You will spend that hour getting acquainted with George Bailey.
Sir, if I should accomplish this mission, I mean, if I win my wings, it's been over 200 years now. People are beginning to talk.
Say, what's that book you've got there?
The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Clarence, you do a good job with George Bailey, and you'll get your wings.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Poor George. Sit down.
Well, sit down? What are they wearing?
If you want to help a man, you need to know something about him, don't you?
Well, naturally, of course.
Well then, open your eyes. See the town?
Where? I don't see a thing.
Oh, that's right. You haven't got your wings yet. Now look, I'll help you out. Concentrate. Begin to see something.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Wouldn't do what?
What you were thinking of doing.
How do you know what I was thinking?
Oh, we make it our business to know lots of things.
Look, whatever it is you're selling, I'm not interested.
Oh, no.
Please,
no.
just leave me alone.
You don't understand. I've got a job to do
I said
here.
leave me alone!
This isn't going very well. He said it was going to be easy. He won't listen. I know. At first you don't succeed. Try again. Hey, have you ever read the Adventures of Tom Sawyer?
What?
Now there was an industrious young man, and when the chips were down, he never gave up. Do you remember why?
Who cares?
Well, he kept thinking about others, George, not about himself. About all the folks who needed him.
You just called me George. How do you know my name?
Oh, all about you. I watched you grow up from a little boy.
How could you? I've never seen you before in my life.
Well, you haven't needed to until now. Hey, how's that lip? Did it stop bleeding?
Yeah, that was the answer to a prayer I got a little bit ago.
Oh, no, George. I was the answer to your prayer.
Who are you?
Oh, Clarence Oddbody, AS2.
Oddbody. AS2. What's that? AS2.
Angel, second class.
I know I've lost my mind.
Oh, not yet. You were well on your way. That's why they sent me down here. Besides, it's ridiculous to think of killing yourself over a measly $8,000.
How did you know that?
I've been trying to tell you, George. I'm your guardian angel.
You look like the sort of angel I get. That much. Sort of a fallen angel. What's happened to your wings?
Oh, haven't won my wings yet. That's why I'm an angel, second class. You're going to change all that.
I am. How?
Why, by letting me help you.
Only way you can help me is if you get me $8,000 before the clock strikes midnight. After that, my life turns into a pumpkin.
I'm sorry, we don't use money in heaven.
Oh, that's right, I keep forgetting. Well, down here, you can't live without it. And if the truth be known, I'm worth more dead than alive.
Now look, you mustn't say things like that. I won't get my wings with that attitude. Besides, you don't realize how much you are worth. You know, if it hadn't been for you...
If it hadn't been for me, everybody would be much better off. Everybody. My wife, my kids, my friends...
You sure have plenty of friends. I'll say that for you. Do you realize that they jammed up our network for over an hour now?
What are you talking about?
Prayers, when they're heartfelt, they're mighty powerful missiles. And the ones for you, whew, they lit up the whole celestial system.
Why? How?
Because you're such an important influence, George, in so many people's lives. You always have been. Just like Tom Sawyer.
Since when?
Well, ever since that day you saved your little brother from drowning when he fell for the ice.
I was acting on instinct. Besides, I was 12 years old.
Yeah, but there were other boys there that day. Some of them were older, better swimmers. You didn't nod to their instincts. Only you did.
He was my brother.
I know. What about Mr. Gower? Ha-ha! When you saved him from ruin? That wasn't instinct. That was courage. Deep-seated, Prince-full of guts courage.
He had just received a telegram telling him his son had died.
And he had turned mean through and through from drowning his sorrows in a bottle. Remember?
George, are you out there? I'm sorry, Mrs. Blaine. That medicine should have been there an hour ago. I promise. It'll be there in 5 minutes. Where's Mrs. Blaine's box of capsules? Why didn't you deliver them?
I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't? What kind of tricks are you playing, young man? Don't you know the Blaine boy is very sick?
You're hurting my sore ear, Mr. Gower.
Oh, you lazy loafer.
Mr. Gower, you don't know what you're doing. You put something wrong in those capsules.
What do you mean?
I know you're unhappy. You got that telegram today, and it upset you. I understand that. But it put something bad in those capsules. I'm sure you did.
How do you mean?
I tried to tell you when you were filling out the order, but you wouldn't listen. But look at the bottle you took the powder from. That's not right. I swear it isn't.
No!
Don't
No!
repeat it!
No!
I won't tell anyone, Mr. Gower. I promise. I know what you're feeling. I won't ever tell a soul. I hope to die, I won't.
Oh, George.
You never did. Not to this very day. It's remarkable.
Well, he's always cared about young people. Gave a lot of us our first job.
Never stopped caring about you, that's for sure. Do you remember that handsome suitcase he got you when you thought you were finally heading off to college?
That was 1,000 years ago.
Oh, this is a great idea! A surprise party for George! Thank you for doing this!
When he comes in, we'll all no surprise. Don't sing, or he's a jolly good fellow.
Oh, for he's a jolly good fellow. What are the words?
Oh, it's for he's a jolly good fellow.
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 He's a jolly good fellow.
For he's a jolly good fellow.
Yeah.
I know the words.
How you doing, Uncle Billy?
Good. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Surprise!
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny.
May you always use us in good health, George.
How can I thank you, Mr. Gower?
Well, by graduating with honors. That'll make us all very proud.
Fat chance.
Lay you a bet, little brother.
Haven't got time. I'm off my dance. How do I look?
Like a goon in a penguin suit. Ah, where's the funeral?
That's enough, you two. Harry, you look very nice.
Yeah, of course he does. It's my tux.
And what's your verdict on Tilly? Do I look good enough to eat?
If you lay a hand on me, young man, I'll hit you with this purple.
I'm in love with you. There's a full moon.
Harry, that's enough.
Oh, hey, Ma. Gotta borrow the car. Have to take over lots of plates and stuff.
Whose plates?
I'm sure Millie eats can be mine. We're short a couple of dozen plates.
No, wait a minute, Harry. You can't use my Sunday china. That belonged to your grandmother and her mother before that. Are you listening to me?
There he goes.
We are all gonna miss you, George.
Thanks, Father. Say, that's some dress you got on there.
Oh, this old thing, it's just a hand-me-down like Harry's.
Well, it sure is pretty. Isn't it, George? Huh? Oh, right, yeah, the dress. It's real nice, Vi.
Well, I guess I'd better get going. The dance starts in another half hour and... Say,
Why don't you stop by later on?
Just might do that.
hope you do. Goodbye.
Would you like for Ernie and I to walk over to the school?
That won't be necessary.
Take care, Julie.
Yeah, you too, Father.
Well, come on, Ernie.
See you around, George.
Say, Uncle Billy, where's Pops? Oh, he had to write a special report for Potter. The board meeting's tomorrow.
I thought when we put him on the board, he'd ease up on us. What's eating that old money-grabbing buzzard anyway?
Oh, he's a sick man, George. Sick in his mind, sick in his soul, if he has one. Hates everybody who has anything that he can't have. Hates us, mostly, I'm afraid.
After you graduate, you wouldn't consider coming back to the building alone with us, would you?
Not me, Uncle Billy. I couldn't face being cooped up in a shabby little office. I'm sorry, but the thought of spending the rest of my life trying to save 3 cents on a length of pipe? I'd go crazy. I want to do something big. Something important.
Well, you know, George, I think in our own small little way that your father and I think that we are doing something important. It goes deep to the soul of a man to want to own his own roof and his walls and a fireplace to sit beside in the evening. We like to think we're helping him get those things.
But, Bill, you have to admit that this town is no place for any man unless he's willing to crawl to Potter. Now, you've got talent, George. We've all seen it. So go on, get yourself an education, and then get out of here if you must.
You have any idea what you want to do?
Sure. I want to build things. Like skyscrapers or maybe even cities. It's been the dream all my life.
Still after your first million before you're 30.
No. I'll settle for half that in cash.
Well, your Aunt Tilly and I are sure going to miss you.
And I'm going to miss all of you. That's for certain. Hey, do you mind taking this into the house? I think I'm going to go over to the school and drop by on Harry's dance.
Have a good time, son.
And you did, too. Remember, George? That was the night you met Mary Hatch. Well, you knew Mary all your life. She grew up about 3-4 years behind you. She was always there, somewhere in the background, tagging along, till one of you boys noticed and sent her along your way. That never stopped her. Not her or any of the girls, as far as that goes. They all had their eyes hooked on you, George. Especially Violet and Mary. You never took the bait. Not until Harry's graduation party. That's when you danced at Charleston all night with Mary Hatch. Well, that is until somebody turned the key on the moving gym floor, and everybody either jumped or fell into the swimming pool.
Gals, won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? Hot dog, just like the church choir.
Beautiful.
You should have seen the commotion in that locker room. I had to knock down 3 people just to get this stuff we're wearing. A bit over half your class jumped in that pool.
Half the town said it wasn't a good idea to build the gym floor over the swimming pool. I wonder who turned the key.
Probably someone jealous because you chose me to dance with you.
You think maybe?
Here, let me hold that wet dress of yours. Hello.
Hello. You look as though you don't know me.
Well, I don't.
You pass me on the street almost every day.
Me?
Uh-huh.
That was a little girl named Mary Hatch. That wasn't you.
Do I look as funny as you do?
I guess I'm not quite the football type. You look wonderful. You know, if it wasn't me talking, I'd say you were the prettiest girl in town.
Well, why don't you say it?
I don't know. Maybe I will say it. How old are you anyway?
You can't ask that.
Well, I am.
18.
18? Why, it was only last year you were 17.
Too young or too old?
Oh, no. Just right. Your age fits you. Yes, sir, you look a little older without your clothes on. Without a dress. You look older, you look a little younger. I can't. Sorry.
Sir, my train, please.
Pox upon me for a clumsy lout. You're a Goose, my lady.
You can kiss my hand.
Mary.
As I was lumbering down.
Okay. I'll throw a rock at the old Granville house.
Oh no, don't. I love that old place.
You see, you throw a rock, you try to break some glass, and you make a wish. You gotta be a really good shot nowadays, too, with so many windows already broken out.
George, don't. It's full of romance. I'd like to live in it someday.
In that old place, I wouldn't live in it as a ghost. Now watch. Right on the second floor there.
What'd you wish for, George?
Not just one wish. A whole hatful, Mary. I know what I'm gonna do tomorrow, and the next day, and the next year, and the year after that. I'm shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet. I'm gonna see the world. Italy, Greece, the Parthenon, the Colosseum. And then I'm gonna go to college and see what they know. And then I'm gonna build things. I'm gonna build airfields a mile long. I'm gonna build skyscrapers 100 stories high. I'm gonna build bridges. You gonna throw a rock? Hey, that's pretty good. What'd you wish, Mary?
Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight?
Won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon? What'd you wish when you threw that rock?
Oh no.
Come on, tell me.
If I tell you, it might not come true.
What is it you want, Mary? You want the moon? Just say the word. I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. That's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the moon, Mary.
I'll take it. And then what?
Well, then you could swallow it and it'll dissolve. And the moonbeams will shoot out your fingertips, your toes, the ends of your hair. Am I talking too much?
Yes, you are.
What's that?
Why don't you kiss her instead of talking her to death?
What?
Youth. It's wasted on the wrong people, Ernie.
You're telling me.
Just wasted.
Hey, wait, Bert, Ernie, come back here. I'll show you some kissing that'll turn your head around.
George! George! Come home quick! Your father's had a stroke.
Pop? Mary, I'm so sorry.
Come on, George, let's hurry.
Did you send for a doctor?
Yes, Campbell's there now.
Nice of you to come, Mr. Potter.
Well, I'd say your father was the building and loan here in Bedford Falls, George.
I agree, Mr. Potter.
Of course, he wasn't a businessman. That's what killed him. I don't mean any disrespect, George. God rest his soul. He was a man of high ideals, so-called. But ideals without common sense can ruin this town. That's why at the next meeting of the Board of Trustees, I'm planning to make a motion.
A motion?
That's right. Motion to dissolve the institution, turn its assets and liabilities over to receivership.
But Mr. Potter...
Now, you just take this loan application, for instance. We're supposed to act on it this morning. It's for Ernie Bishop. You know, he's that fellow walks around all day and delivers our mail. Usually late. He's always stopping to talk to everyone on his route. So, anyway, I happen to know the bank turned down his loan. But it comes to building a loan, and we're willing to build him a house worth $5,000. Why?
Well, I handled that, Mr. Potter. You have all the documents there. His salary, his insurance, and I can personally vouch for his character.
He's a friend of yours, huh?
Yes, sir.
So, if you shoot pool with the man with your son, you get to borrow money. But once you get the building alone, nothing but a discontented, lazy rabble instead of a thrifty working class. All because of a couple of starry-eyed dreamers like your father fill their little heads with a lot of impossible ideas.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Hold on, Mr. Potter. You're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that. Why he ever started this cheap, penny-ante building alone, I'll never know. But neither you nor anybody can say anything against his character, because his whole life was... Why, in the 25 years since he and Uncle Billy started this institution, he never once thought of himself or saved any money. But he did help a few people get out of your slums, Mr. Potter. And what's wrong with that? You know, that rabble that you're talking about? They do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Was it too much for them to work and pay and live and die in a few decent rooms and a bath? My father didn't think so. People were human beings to him. But to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle. In my book, my father died a much richer man than you will ever be.
I'm not interested in your book, young man. I'm talking
I
about
know very well what you're talking about. You're talking about something you can't get your fingers on, and it's galling you. That's what you're talking about. Well, thank you so much for coming, Mr. Potter. I'll see you at the meeting.
You're not on the board.
I hold my father's proxy so I can attend and cast a vote. And if the truth be known, Mr. Potter, this town needs my family's one-horse institution, if only to have one place to go without crawling to you.
Get me out of here. Sentimental hogwash. I'm still going to present my motion, young man. We'll see who has the power in this town.
You spoke eloquently at the board meeting that day. You voted Potter down, remember?
On one condition I hadn't banked on.
To take over your father's place. And you did. And you turned over all your school money to your brother Harry and sent him off to college.
Harry became a football star. Made second team All-American.
And you got 4 years older.
Mwah! That's nothing.
Oh, Mom.
What are you doing? Wishing on the moon?
No. I've given up on that. Just getting some air.
Did you know that Mary Hatch is back from school?
Yeah.
She came back 3 days ago. Nice girl, Mary.
Sure.
The kind that can help you find some answers, George.
Oh, sure.
Can you give me one good reason why you shouldn't call on Mary Hatch?
Yes. Sam. Yep. Sam's crazy about Mary.
She's not crazy about him.
Well, how do you know? Did she tell you?
No.
How do you know then?
I have eyes, haven't I? She lights up like a firefly whenever you're around. And besides, Sam Wainwright's away in New York. And you're here in Bedford Falls.
And all's fair in love and war?
Well, I don't know about war.
You know, Mother, I can see right through you. Right to your back collar button. You're trying to get rid of me, aren't you? Oh, here's your hat. What's your hurry? All right, Mother. Old building and loan pal, if you insist, I'll go find a girl, and I'll do a little passionate necking.
What? George!
Now, you'll just point me in the right direction. Good night, Mother.
Hiya, Georgie Porgy.
Hello, Vi. How's business at Ye Old Fashioned Permanent Wave Shop?
Well, not up to the tidal wave yet, but I'm getting some city mothers in thanks to you. So, what's up with you?
Nothing.
Nothing. Where you going?
I don't know. I'll probably end up down at the library.
George, don't you ever get tired of just reading about things?
Yes. Yes, I do. What are you doing tonight?
Not a thing.
Are you game, Vi? Let's make a night of it.
Oh, I love it, Georgie. What do we do?
Let's go out in the field, take off our shoes, and walk through the grass.
Huh?
Then we can climb to the top of Mount Bedford, watch the sunset against the peaks. We can stay up there all night. Everyone will be talking, and there will be a terrific scandal.
Whoa, walk in the grass in my bare feet? Huh? Have you gone crazy? Into the top of Mount Bedford? Who's going to want to climb all the way to the top of Mount Bedford? It's got to be a 10-mile hike at least.
Okay, forget the whole thing. It's just a crazy idea.
Yeah, you told me. Night, George.
Well, there you are.
Oh, hello, Mary. I just happened to be passing by.
Yes, so I noticed. Have you made up your mind?
How's that?
Have you made up your mind?
About what?
About paying a visit. Your mother phoned and said you were on your way over.
My mother called you? How did she know?
Well, didn't you tell her?
I didn't tell anybody. I was just going for a walk and happened to be passing by.
Well, do you want to come up on the porch and sit a minute?
Maybe just for a minute. But I didn't tell anybody I was coming over here. When did you get back?
Tuesday.
Where'd you get that dress?
Do you like it?
It's okay. I thought you'd stay in New York like Sam and Ingy and the rest of them.
Oh, I worked there a couple of vacations, but I don't know. I guess I got homesick.
Homesick? For Bedford Falls?
Yes, and my family and everything. Are you gonna sit?
Well, maybe just for a minute, but I did not tell anybody I was coming over here.
Would you rather leave?
No! I don't want to be rude.
Then sit down. Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight?
Won't you come out tonight? Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon?
Mary? Mary, who's down there with you?
It's George Bailey, Mother.
George Bailey? What does he want?
I don't know. What do you want?
Me? Not a thing.
He's making violent love to me, Mother.
You tell him to go right home, and don't you leave this house either. Sam Wainwright promised to call you from New York tonight. See? There he is now. Good night, George.
I better be going.
Mary, get the phone.
Hello? Oh, hello, Sam. How are you? Guess who's here? George Bailey. He wants to talk to you.
Me?
Hurry, it's long distance.
Hello, Sam?
Well, hee-haw, George Baileyovsky. A fine pal you are. What are you trying to do? Steal my girl?
What? No, nobody's trying to steal your girl. Here's Mary.
No, wait a minute. I want to talk to both of you. You tell Mary to get on the extension.
He wants you to get on the extension.
Mother's on the extension. There. Now we can both go. We're listening, Sam.
I have a big deal coming up that's going to make us all rich. Hey, George, you remember that night in Martini's bar where you told me you read someplace about making plastics out of soybeans?
Huh? Oh, yeah, soybeans, sure.
Well, Dad snapped up the idea. He's going to build a factory outside of Rochester. And here's the point. Mary, you're in on this too. Now, George, have you got any money?
Money? A little.
Well, we'll put every cent you've got into our stocks. And George, I may have a job for you. That is, unless you're still married to that broken down building and loan. This is the biggest thing since radio, and I'm letting you in on the ground floor. Mary? Mary?
I'm listening, Sam.
Would you tell that guy I'm giving him the chance of a lifetime? You hear? The chance of a lifetime.
He says it's the chance of a lifetime.
You listen to me. I don't want any ground floors. I don't want any plastics. And I don't want to get married ever. To anyone. Do you understand that? I want to do what I want to do. And you? Oh, Mary.
Hello, ladies. Beautiful day for wedding, isn't it? How are you two?
Well, I'm doing fine. Did you hear about Tommy's new girl? She's from New Jersey.
Oh,
Hello, ladies. I sure hope you're doing better than I am.
why, I'm doing fabulous. I heard Harry got a new suit.
We know. You've told us 1,000,000 times. Now what's the matter with you?
It's George Bailey. And his new bride-to-be. I'm just so heartbroken.
What for? They're made for each other.
I'd be over the moon right about now if 5 were Mary Hatch.
Oh. Well, at least you can admit it. I'm too scared to tell Harry.
What do you suppose she'll wear?
Well, I'm not too sure, but I have a hunch that it will be a wedding dress.
Aww.
Do you suppose it will be a white dress?
All I know is I won't be looking at her.
Oh, cheer up. At least there will be food. That's one thing we women can count on.
Bert and I chipped in on this. We hope you float away to Happy Land on the boat.
Look at this. Champagne.
Thank you, Ernie.
Say, where are you two going on this here now honeymoon?
Where are we going? There's the kitty, Ernie. Here, count it, Mary.
I feel like a bootlegger's wife.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna shoot the works. A whole week in New York, a whole week in Bermuda, the highest hotels, the richest caviar, the oldest champagne, the hottest music, and the prettiest wife.
Well, that does it, but, you know, then what?
Then what, honey?
After that, who cares?
Yeah, that does it. Come here.
Oh, I hope I'm not interrupting anything, but there's something funny going down at the bank.
The bank?
I've never seen it before, but it has all the earmarks of a run.
Oh my god!
You better hurry if you have any money kind of bank.
Oh my god!
Mary, I'll be right back.
Please, let's not stop. Let's go.
I'll be just a minute, Mary.
Uncle Billy. A holiday? It's what you call a pickle, George. A real pickle.
Oh, calm down. How did it start?
How does anything like this ever start? All I know is that the bank called our loans.
When?
About an hour ago. I had to hand over all of our cash.
All of it?
Every cent of it. And it was still less than what we owe.
Oh my God.
The whole town's gone crazy.
Bill, these people are very upset.
Mr. Potter!
Oh.
To what do we owe this unexpected visit?
George, there's a rumor around town that you're gonna close your doors early. Is that true?
Not for another 10 minutes. That's our usual closing time.
Glad to hear that. You all right, George? Should I call the sheriffs?
What for?
Well, Mom should get pretty ugly sometimes, you know.
I can assure you, Mr. Potter, all of our customers are very polite.
Yes, I'm sure. George, I'm going all out to help in this crisis. I've just guaranteed the bank sufficient funds to meet their needs. They'll close for a week, then they'll reopen.
You've taken over the bank?
I may lose a fortune, but I'll guarantee your people too. Just bring your shares by the bank and I'll pay 50 cents on the dollar.
I'm sure that won't be necessary, Mr. Potter. We'll take care of our customers right here.
Just make sure you don't close your doors before 6 o'clock. You'll never be open. Ladies, gentlemen, remember, 50 cents on the dollar.
You never miss a trick, do you, Potter? Or you're gonna miss this one. All right, folks. You heard Mr. Potter. The bank is gonna open in a week.
But I've got my money here, George, and I'll take it now.
No, Miss Andrews, you've got this place all wrong. As if I had your money in the safe. Your money's not here. Your money is in the Thompsons' house, and in the Macklin's house, and in the Kennedy's house, right next to yours. Why, you're giving them the money to build, and then they're going to pay you back as best as they can. Now, what are you going to do? Foreclose on them?
I've got $242 in here, George Bailey, and $242 isn't going to break anything.
Okay. You sign this, you'll get your money in 60 days.
60 days?
Well, that's what you agreed to when you bought your shares. Come on, Miss Andrews, stick to your original agreement. Give us 60 days on this.
Are you going to go to Potter's? Better to get half than nothing.
Hey, wait, Miss Andrews, Mrs. Thompson. Please, wait. Listen to me. If Potter gets a hold of this building alone, there'll never be another decent house built in this town. He's already got the department stores, he's got the bus lines, he's got the bank, and now he's after us. Why? Because we're cutting into his business, that's why. And because he wants to keep you living in his slums and paying the kind of rent that he decides. Well, we can't let him. We can get through this, but we've got to stick together. We have to have faith in each other.
My husband hasn't worked in over a year and I need money.
George. How are we gonna live until the bank opens?
We've got doctor bills to pay.
Yeah, George, I need cash.
I know.
I can't feed my kids on faith.
How much do you need?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I have $2,000. Yes, here's $2,000. That'll tide us over till the bank opens. All right, Miss Andrews, how much do you need?
$242.
Miss Andrews, just enough to tide you over till the bank
I'll
opens.
take $242.
There you are.
Thank you. That'll close my.
Your account's still here. That's a loan. All right, now, Ernie.
George, I got $300 here.
Ernie, just enough to tide you over till the bank reopens. How much do you need?
Well, I guess I could do with $20.
$20. Now you're talking. All right, thank you, Ernie. All right, Mrs. Thompson, how much do you want?
It's your own money, George.
Never mind about that. How much do you want?
I can get along with 20 all right.
$20.
And I'll sign a paper.
You don't need to sign anything. I know you'll pay it back when you can. That's fine. All right, Mrs. Martini.
May we have 17?
7. Bless your heart. Of course you can have it. Do you have 50 cents?
Yes, I do.
Actually, here. You take over. I think we're gonna make it, George. I think we're gonna make it. So do I. Hello, Mrs. Bailey.
Hello, Mr. Bailey. How's business?
Booming.
Well, at least you have a place to come home to. Most of the windows are broken, and the roof leaks in a place or two, but the structure's solid and there isn't a crack in the foundation.
What are you talking about?
32 Sycamore.
32 Sycamore? Wait, that's...
Remember the night we broke the windows? That's what I wished for, and I've been saving ever since. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary? We've been married an hour.
1 hour, 42 minutes, and 29 seconds to be exact. Soon enough to celebrate, I'd say. Don't you agree?
Darling, you're wonderful.
4, 5, 6. Bingo! We made it! Oh, look, George, we're still in business. We got $2 left.
We'll pop the champagne! We're a bunch of financial wizards!
Those rockabellers.
Let's open the safe for these great big important simoleons.
We'll save them for seed.
Here's to Papa Dollar and to Mama Dollar. And if we want the old building and loan to stay in business, they better make a family real quick.
I wish they were rabbits.
That's great, Aunt Tilly. You hear that, Uncle Billy? Rabbits. Here's to the rabbits.
Rabbits!
Champagne, that joy and prosperity shall reign forever. Enter the Martini Castle.
miss this Bailey Park any longer, Mr. Potter. It's cutting deeper and deeper into your rental profits.
That Bailey family's been a boil on my neck long enough.
Mr. Bailey has just arrived, sir.
Ah, good. Tell him to wait. Go on.
Well, as you know, he's built a whole subdivision out next to the cemetery. Just dozens and dozens of the prettiest little homes you've ever seen. Why, I'm thinking very seriously of purchasing one myself.
Don't you dare.
Ye faithful, joyful and triumphant, O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
Can I join in?
Sing choirs of angels, sing in exaltation, sing all ye citizens of Bethlehem. Glory to God.
Is everything all right?
Did Chris come back here?
No, isn't he with you?
When he didn't show up, I went by the zoo to look for him. The zookeeper said that he came and got his things and left over an hour ago.
Oh no, something happened.
It's all my fault, and after I told you you could trust me.
I don't want to blame you.
I shouldn't have let him go get his things by himself.
The important thing now is to find out if he's all right. Never forgive myself if something happens to her.
I'm surprised. I didn't think you liked Chris.
It's not a matter of like.
I thought this was a sign that his Christmas spirit was getting to you.
No, but it's New York City, you know?
Come on, Doris. Who's going to mug Santa Claus?
I'm calling him police.
Look, Doris, if he can get here from the North Pole, then New York City shouldn't be a problem for him.
I'm serious, Fred. He must know I'd be worried. If he was all right, he would have called by now. Oh, why, what's the matter, Sweetheart?
I had a dream that Mr. Kringle went away and there wasn't any more Christmas.
Susan, you know dreams aren't real.
It was only a dream, Susan. Mr. Kringle will be fine. And we'll never lose Christmas as long as we have each other. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright.
I don't know what I would have done without you tonight, Fred. I don't think I've ever shown my appreciation for your friendship or for the way you care for Susan. Please forgive me for getting upset.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh, Fred.
Thank you for realizing that I'm right here with you.
Excuse me, should I come back at a more convenient time?
You're back.
Where were you?
I was caroling with some of my friends. I just came to say goodnight.
Well, I'm very relieved.
Then my dream was true. Santa really did go away.
But he came back because your mother cared about it.
Well, that's a nice thought anyway. Everything's all right now, Susan. Come on, I'll tuck you back in bed.
Good night again, Susan.
Did you enjoy my absence?
What do you mean? Doris was crazy with work.
Didn't it make the two of you closer together?
Well, yes.
That's exactly what I hope would happen.
You old fox. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Not at all. Let me make my exit so you can continue to put her worries to rest.
Oh. It's the next apartment on the right. I'm really glad that you're staying with me, Chris. But I must confess, I do have an ulterior motive.
Well?
I'm going to learn the question that has plagued the world for centuries. Does Santa sleep with his whiskers inside or outside the covers?
Always sleep with them out. Cold air makes them grow. Now, I'll find my way, thank you.
To be honest, I'm glad he's staying with you. I feel better having him sleep in here. I'm glad you're here too.
Me too.
jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Draw the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. What a tale of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Cast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new year, lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing, rejoice all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la. Deck the halls with bells of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, a special Christmas delight, Mathews Elf Theater.
Once upon a mountaintop, 3 trees stood and dreamed what they wanted to become when they grew up. The first little tree looked up to the stars and said,
I want to hold treasure. I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I'll be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world.
The second little tree looked out at the small stream tippling by on its way to the ocean.
I want to be traveling mighty waters and carrying powerful kings. I'll be the strongest ship in the world.
The third little tree looked down into the valley below, where busy men and women worked in a busy town.
I don't want to leave the mountaintop at all. I want to grow so tall that when people look at me, they'll raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I'll be the tallest tree in the world.
Years passed, the rain came, the sun shone. The 3 little trees grew tall. One day, 3 woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said,
This tree is beautiful. It is perfect for me. With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. Then the first tree said,
Now we should be made into a beautiful chest, and I shall hold wonderful treasures.
The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said,
This tree is strong. It's perfect for me.
With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. Then the second tree said,
Now I shall sail mighty waters. I shall be a strong ship for mighty kings.
The third little tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked her way. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven, but the woodcutter never even looked up. Any kind of tree will do for me.
With a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutters brought her to the shipyard. The carpenter's shop.
With this tree, I'll make a feed box with animals.
The once beautiful tree was not covered in gold and not filled with treasure.
Oh no, I am coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals.
The second tree smiled when the woodcutters brought her to the shipyard.
Now I shall sail mighty waters. I shall be a strong ship for mighty kings.
But no mighty sailing ship was made that day. Instead, the one strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple boat.
Oh no, I'm just a simple boat. I'm too small and too weak to sail to an ocean or even a river. I can only sail in a little lake.
The third tree was confused when she was cut into strong beams and placed in a lumber yard.
What happened? All I ever wanted was to stand on the mountaintop and point to God.
Many, many days and nights passed. The 3 trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree, and the young mother placed her newborn baby in the feed box.
I wish I could make a cradle for him.
The mother smiled and squeezed her husband's hand.
This manger is beautiful.
Oh, I am holding the greatest treasure in the world.
One day, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. Once the tired traveler fell asleep, the boat sailed out into the ocean, or the lake. Soon, a thundering and thrashing storm arose. The little tree shuddered.
Oh no, I'm just a simple boat. I don't have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and the rain.
The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand, and said,
Peace, be still.
The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun.
Who are carrying the king of heaven and earth?
rotten wood pile.
What's happening? Why are these people so angry? What are you doing to this man?
She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her.
I feel ugly, harsh, and cruel.
But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose, the earth trembled with the roar beneath her. The third tree said,
Now I know that God's love has changed everything. I feel so strong. From now on, when people look at me, they'll think of God. That's better than being the tallest tree in the world.
The end.
And now, a very special honor, Miss Macy and Mr. Bloomingdale.
Welcome to our store. I'm so happy we can work together in the spirit of Christmas.
Yes, I must admit, at first I was rather jealous of your goodwill campaign. I thought you were stealing business from us. But then someone reminded me that goodwill is not the private property of any organization. So we came up with our own goodwill gimmick. And I must admit, it's been most profitable for us.
That's right. Goodwill goes a lot further for everybody than competition. How will you stop for it, Mr. Kringle? Just the man I was telling you about. Mr. Kringle, you have brought a very special spirit to both Macy's and Bloomingdale's this Christmas season. And it seems to have spread to the whole entire New York City as well. Whatever your special gifts are, deserves appreciation and recognition. So in honor of your distinguished service, Macy's would like to present this token of our esteem and utter gratitude.
Oh, thank you very much. This is very generous. This is going to buy a Christmas gift to somebody that's been very kind to me. It's going to buy an X-ray machine.
A what?
Yes, for the Maplewood home. They say that X-rays are very helpful in some situations.
That might be quite expensive. That check won't.
Let me take care of that. We'll get it for you wholesale.
Well, we'll get it from that cost.
Well, thank you both very much.
Now, will you folks, and you, Miss Macy, and you, Mr. Kringle, will you come over to Bloomingdale's and take some more pictures in front of my store? And since you brought so much business to Bloomingdale's, there's a special bonus check for you there too. That should cover the cost of that expensive machine.
Fred, I simply don't believe it. I never thought I'd see Miss Macy shake hands with Mr. Bloomingdale. It's surely a miracle.
I don't know how he does it. Chris.
Maybe he gathered some stardust while he was sailing through the air on his reindeer and he sprinkled it all over everybody.
Doris, your imagination's just coming to life.
Not really, Fred. I was only kidding.
No, you weren't. Don't be afraid to admit it. In here, I have a presentation of my own.
What is it? Aw, Fred, it's beautiful.
Here, let me. I went to Cartier's to look at necklaces. You know what they did? They sent me over to Tiffany's. And the clerk over at Tiffany's asked if I had seen the collection over at Cartier's.
It's happening all over town. I never dreamed when I saw that jolly bearded man at the parade that he would revolutionize the entire merchandising industry.
Let's celebrate and have dinner tonight.
Aw, Fred, I'd love to. But I can't. I have to work.
Really?
Unfortunately, it's been planned for weeks. Miss Sawyer, our vocational guidance counselor, is giving a lecture to our employees tonight.
Can't you get out of it?
I wish I could, but I have to introduce her.
What's the topic?
This is embarrassing. Please don't mention it to Chris.
Hey, wait! What's this? Exploding the myth of Santa Claus. Open discussion following lecture. Oh dear. We'll have to show this to Mr. Kringle.
And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce Miss Alberta Sawyer.
we are here to explore the nature of the Santa Claus myth. By the time this lecture is concluded, I feel confident that you will share my heartfelt convictions about this legend, which has been handed down over the centuries and is an outrageous atrocity, and that it has been detrimental to generation after generation of innocent young persons of both genders. The symbolic figure of Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, or Kris Kringle, whatever we may call him, represents a classic expression of the wishful dreaming of all children. Instead of teaching children that they should do what they want and that these things come for free, they should be taught while they're still in their formative years the value of the work ethic that has made this country great. They must realize that this is a hard and competitive world, and if they are to succeed, they must learn the difference between myth and reality. Mature adults who continue to perpetuate the fable reveal themselves as incomplete and neurotic personalities who have failed to adjust to the stringent demands of our culture. Not only have they damaged their own existence, but they are harming their children's future. A child who does not understand this marked difference between fact and fiction will grow up still clinging to an infantile fantasy and will never be able to face the cruel truths of today's world. Why do we ask this ourselves, you ask?
Don't ask.
To compensate for feelings of guilt. That's why we perpetuate the myth of Santa Claus. Parents who feel guilty because they've neglected their children 364 days of the year and picked this one day to overwhelm the kiddies with gifts are doing it so as to purge their own shameful behavior. And parents and grandparents who swamp the child with talks about Santa and stage this Christmas charade are reenacting their own infantile emotions which they have never outgrown. Therefore, I suspect that the vaunted spirit of giving is nothing more but selfishness in disguise. Far from doing any good in this world, this vicious myth has done more harm than...
Now, just a minute there.
I'm giving this lecture, Mr. Kringle.
I believe an open discussion was to be allowed.
The discussion will take place after the lecture is over.
The lecture's over!
Mrs. Walker, I refuse to continue until this blatant fraud is removed from this stage.
Chris, we have to... Please.
Mrs. Walker, I refuse to listen to this absurd imposter who spouts all this propaganda.
Absurdity?
Fraud am I?
Don't you try to threaten me, Mrs. Walker. I told you he would become violent.
I did no such thing.
Let's calm down now. Alberta, Chris.
Now look here, Mrs. Walker. Are you going to allow this dangerous maniac to continue to assault your employees?
He's perfectly harmless, Miss Sawyer.
Maybe we should let the police decide that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our meeting for the evening. Thank you so much for coming and have a Merry Christmas.
I'll handle this.
Mrs. Walker, I'm perfectly capable of defending myself against personal attacks.
Chris, please, for my sake.
Okay. All right, I'll see you at the store tomorrow.
No, Chris, can you wait in the hallway and I'll speak to you in a minute.
Society has ways of dealing with your kind. That's what I mean. He's a seriously deranged man. In cases like this, we never know when he may strike.
I hardly think this would really backfire on Macy's if Bloomingdale's or the press were to find out that our Santa is possibly dangerous. The repercussions could be devastating.
I'm telling you, Mrs. Walker, Chris is a short stick of dynamite with a short fuse. I warned you. Thank goodness I was the victim of his lunacy instead of some poor, defenseless child sitting on his knee.
We have to do something at once.
But he's just a kindly old man. Are you sure he hit you with that cane?
Yes, and he would again. He's obviously entered into some type of personality change and is becoming violent.
But Dr. Pierce assured me that could never happen. She said his delusion is a positive one.
Dr. Pierce is not a psychiatrist. Neither are you. Well, then, it's your responsibility to see that he's examined by a competent psychiatrist at once.
I agree. Well, I don't. Chris has been examined many times according to Dr. Pierce.
Then one more time will make a difference. If the psychiatrist finds him competent, then he can resume his job and come right back.
And if he doesn't, you'll know you've done the right thing.
Well,
Now, here's the only problem. How are we going to get him out of here? In his present condition, he's certain to react with violence.
You'll have to talk to him. He trusts you, Doris.
We simply can't hurt the old man.
Well, never mind. I won't need you, Mrs. Walker. I know what to do.
What are you going to do?
I'll apologize and invite him out to dinner. And then I'll persuade him to get checked out by a competent psychiatrist tomorrow.
All right, Alberta. Call me later and let me know how you worked it out.
Mr. Kringle, are you still there? Please come back. Oh, I do apologize for our misunderstanding. Are you all right? I'm so sorry about all the things I said. Would you like to go to dinner? I'll even go by and pick you up wherever it is you live.
Certainly, Mrs. Walker, I accept your apology and thank you for the dinner invitation, but I believe I'll go with Mrs. Walker.
That's all right, Chris. I've got to get some shopping done. I'll go with Miss Shellhammer and see you in the morning.
Shall we go?
Would you excuse me for a moment? I'd like to talk to the elves.
Of course. I'll just go gather my things.
I've been thinking. You know you remember how we used to look for the good in everyone, no matter how bad that person seems to be?
Does everyone include Miss Sawyer?
Sometimes the good in a person is buried so deep, it's difficult to come out. And when it does come out, we lack the ability to recognize it because we blocked our willingness to see it. Miss Sawyer has a very narrow view because she lacks the ability to dream. That means that she can't see anything better than her own limited view.
Is there hope for her?
Of course there is. She did apologize for her angry words. I don't know how sincere she was, but we must encourage her good feelings any way we can.
But what if she wasn't being honest?
That means that the bad at that moment was more than the good.
You shouldn't go with her, Mr. Kringle.
Not so fast. We must be quick to recognize the good intentions in her words. Having said that, even she, deep down, must believe them.
I'm calling a vote of the elves on whether Mr. Kringle should go with Miss Sawyer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed.
Well, I'm in charge of me, so the ayes have it. Now, I'm going to give Miss Sawyer a chance. Besides, it was Mrs. Walker that asked me to go with her. Now, don't worry, I can take care of myself. Now, you elves go back to the store, and I'll see you tomorrow.
If you say so, sir. But please be careful. I have a bad feeling about this.
So, Miss Sawyer, where shall we go for dinner?
Mr. Kringle, we have a few tests for you today. Can you touch your nose with your fingers and alternate your hands, please? All right. Here's an easy one. How many fingers am I holding up?
3.
Alrighty. Who was the first president of the United States?
Adlai Stevenson the first.
Okay. Let's get you in a gown. Please have a seat on the bench. Someone will be with you shortly.
she have done this? How could she have done this to me?
Doris didn't send you here. She thought Sawyer was taking you out to dinner.
She must have been humoring me. I really thought she was beginning to believe in me.
How did it end up that you went with her to Bellevue?
She tricked me. Sawyer was making small talk while she was looking out the window. Then suddenly she jumped up and said, "Let's go." There was a waiting taxi outside. She put me in between two men. One of them said, "Bellevue." Sawyer didn't even come along.
Didn't they give you the usual sanity test that you know by heart?
Of course, the same routine. But I was so crushed that Sawyer did this to me. Not Sawyer, Doris did this to me. That I failed it on purpose, and they committed me.
Doris didn't want you here. She agreed that you and Sawyer would go out to dinner, and she would talk to you about seeing a psychiatrist.
Well, I'm relieved to hear that, but why didn't Doris come and tell me that herself?
She didn't want to hurt you, Chris.
No, she did hurt me. I'm just an old man she felt sorry for.
She feels more than that, I'm sure.
No, she had doubts. Otherwise, she would have come. If it was you, she would have been here in a heartbeat.
She certainly had doubts at first, Chris, but she was really beginning to open up and believe. I think her belief was still just too new and too fragile, and Sawyer must have tipped her the other way. Chris, I'm sure she wouldn't want you to be here.
It's not just Doris, it's Sawyer. She's dishonest and I don't want to say the other awful things that come to mind. Yet, she's the normal one. If that's considered sane, I'm going to stay in here with these honest folks.
Nonsense, Chris. You're quite sane and a whole lot saner than most.
Yet, she's out there, I'm in here. I should have listened to the elves. I thought there was some good in that woman I could touch. Now I'm just going to end up in Mount Hope, just like Dr. Pierce said.
Don't be so gloomy. You're not living up to your own philosophy. You can't just think about yourself.
I'm thinking about myself?
You can't give up. What happens to you matters to a whole lot of people. People like me who have faith in you. And people like Susan who are just beginning to learn about faith.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I have been selfish. By golly, I have been. Let's get out of here, Fred.
Hold on, Chris. It's not that easy. There are some legal matters that we have to clear up, and I'm not sure that we can...
You tell me not to be discouraged. Don't you be discouraged. I have faith in you, Fred. I know you can do it.
Really? Then I'll do it. I'll get you out of here.
Good morning. What a beautiful day. And it's been a good year for you too, hasn't it, Your Honor?
Yes, things have gone pretty well. I don't see any reason why that spring election won't just fall on my lap. Perhaps I should get Mrs. Harper a more elaborate Christmas present. Maybe that trip to Bermuda.
Ooh, that ought to be real nice. Miss Mara from the Attorney General's office is here to see you, Your Honor.
Oh, good. Send her in.
Your Honor.
Morning.
I've just got some routine commitment papers. You should find everything in order. I've checked them out very carefully. And the psychiatric report from Bellevue Hospital is attached here.
Bellevue, eh? Let's see here. Age unknown. An old man, huh?
Yes, Your Honor, very old.
Well, I suppose I should read this whole thing.
Oh, no, that won't be necessary. This is a clear-cut commitment hearing. This, Kris Kringle, actually believes he's Santa Claus.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Gailey is here to see you, Your Honor.
What does he want?
He said he's representing a person named Kris Kringle.
Santa Claus has a lawyer? Better show him in.
This way, sir.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Gregg and I'm representing Mr. Kringle. I believe you received the papers.
Yes, it just seems to be a matter of signing the commitment forms. That'll get the old man out of harm's way for what's left of his life.
No, if you Don't mind, Your Honor. There are indications that Mr. Kringle has been victimized, and I'm requesting a formal hearing to provide witnesses.
I thought you said this case was clear-cut.
It was, as far as I knew. This is the first I've heard of a challenge.
Well, now, Mr. Gately, this psychiatric report, there's a clear diagnosis here, and right here, there was a statement that said in addition to his delusions, he became violent. I'd say that's a pretty good reason for commitment, don't you agree?
That is a misrepresentation, Your Honor. That's why I'm requesting a hearing.
Well, I'm thinking about, court time and expense to the taxpayers.
Your Honor may sign the commitment papers if you so wish, sir. But I must advise you, I will submit a writ of habeas corpus.
That won't be necessary. I guess we'll have a competency hearing. Let's see. Next Monday, 10 a.m. Is that all right with you?
Yes, and thank you.
Ms. Marta?
Just when I thought I was getting my calendar clear for a Christmas vacation. Yes, Your Honor, I'll work it in.
Well, see you on Monday then.
All right. Have a good day, Finley.
Thank you, ma'am. Same to you.
Whom should I speak about the Kringle commitment case?
Oh, the Kringle commitment case has been challenged, Miss,
Sawyer.
Yes, his certification of insanity is undeniable. And wouldn't you know that even Bellevue's word isn't good enough?
Oh, I want this dropped right away. Isn't there anything we can do?
I'm sorry. It's already been scheduled for Monday morning.
Oh, public hearings, attorneys. Oh, Miss Macy asked that I get Kringle back, Santa back right away. This is disastrous.
Look, I don't think you have anything to worry about. This kid, Daly, Kringle's attorney, he's just a young sport trying to get a little publicity for himself.
Publicity? Oh, my job gone. My Christmas bonus gone. I do hope Mrs. Walker can talk to Mr. Gailey. Oh.
Good evening, folks. This is Cindy Stewart on your New York news station, WZYX. Today's top story in New York City is the controversial Sandy hearing of, you're not going to believe this, Kris Kringle, also known as, you guessed it, Santa Claus. It seems that Macy's St. Nick says he is the real Santa Claus, and the state of New York wants to put him away for saying so. This could result in a lot of disappointed children and empty stockings on Christmas morning. We'll keep you informed on what happens to Santa in the New York judicial system as the hearing progresses.
Hello, Henry. How are you?
Hi.
So, Henry, you know, I've been a good friend of yours for years, as well as your political manager. Now, we've been successful in keeping you on this bench now, haven't we?
Of course, Charlie. I appreciate all that you do. You know, I like this seat. I'd like to keep it for a while.
All right. You've got elections coming up this spring, right?
I'm ready. Is there any problem?
Henry, I've been reading the papers. Seriously, are you going to have Santa Claus in your corner?
Is there something you want me to ask him to bring you for Christmas?
No, Henry. I'd like to give you a Christmas present. How about a trip? A vacation? Take Madeline and escape to Bermuda as you've been talking about.
I'd like to, but I just don't have the time. My calendar's full.
No, I mean right away. You look a little run down, Henry. You got to take a few weeks off.
Nonsense. I've never felt better in my life.
Well, then go fishing. Go hiking. Go anywhere.
Why should I?
The Santa Claus case is explosive, Henry. You got to get out of it somehow.
You know I can't do that. It's all set. It's all been arranged.
You have a sudden illness. Let another judge handle it. Someone who isn't coming up for re-election right away.
Charlie, relax. You know, I'm an honest official. I wouldn't fake an illness. And maybe the Santa Claus case will be good publicity for the campaign.
Good publicity? You become a regular Pontius Pilate before you even start the campaign. You'll be a villain to every little kid who believes in Santa Claus.
They don't vote.
But their parents do. Any father or mother who has to explain to the kid why Santa Claus went to jail is going to hate you.
Not jail, state hospital.
Same thing. Wake up, Henry.
Have you heard about that new place on Fifth Avenue? Oh yeah, I heard they have really good hot chocolate. Oh, good, because I really want to have some chocolate right now. So, did you see this thing about trying Santa Claus for sanity? Oh yeah, I saw it. I think the guy's crazy, don't you?
Wait, what was that? I didn't hear about it.
Oh yeah, this guy calls himself Kris Kringle. Gotta be nuts.
Oh, I don't know. Why should there be around Santa Claus? I think it's a nice idea.
Even if he isn't real, I just hope they don't put the old guy away. I mean, he's no harm to anybody.
Let's go get some hot chocolate. There's one hot chocolate.
Hear ye, hear ye. All rise. The New York State Court is now in session. The Honorable Henry X. Harper presiding.
Please be seated. Okay. All right, let's proceed.
Your Honor, as the commitment papers have already been submitted as evidence, the state would like to call its first witness, Mr. Kris Kringle.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Be seated.
Please state your name for the record.
Kris Kringle.
And Mr. Kringle, where do you live?
I believe that's what this hearing is going to determine.
A very sound answer, Mr. Kringle.
And do you believe that you were Santa Claus?
I certainly do.
State rests its case, Your Honor.
Well, young man, do you want to cross-examine the witness? You know, I believe he was hired to play Santa Claus. Maybe he misunderstood the question.
I understand the question perfectly, Your Honor.
Well, in light of the witness's statement, do you still wish to enter a defense?
I do, Your Honor. I'm fully aware that Mr. Kringle believes himself to be Santa Claus. In fact, that is the entire basis of the case against him.
Well,
the state declares that just because he believes himself to be Santa Claus, he is not sane.
Well, that seems a very reasonable and logical premise for that, Mr. Gailey.
It would be, Your Honor, if you or I or Miss Mara here believed that we were Santa Claus.
Anybody who believes they're Santa Claus is out of touch with reality. Of course he's insane.
Not necessarily. Your Honor, you believe yourself to be Judge Harper, and no one here questions your sanity because you are Judge Harper.
I know all about myself, young man. Mr. Kringle is the subject of this hearing.
I was only making a point, Your Honor.
And your point is?
I wish to clarify that if a person is who they believe themselves to be, just as you are, sir, then he is just as sane.
Of course, but he isn't.
Oh, but he is, Your Honor.
Is what?
I intend to prove that Mr. Kringle is Santa Claus.
This hearing is adjourned until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
I've been reading the news, and I'm worried. We seem to be fighting such a hopeless battle.
Actually, I'm rather confident. Publicity is working for us. Public sympathy is behind Kris, and I think we have a good chance.
What about your law firm? How will they react to your taking this case?
Well, old Hayslip, the senior partner, called me in this afternoon.
We're an old established firm with great prestige and dignity, Mr. Gailey. We can't have one of our junior members making a public spectacle of himself. We are not in the business to prove that some old crank is actually Santa Claus.
In other words, unless I drop this case, they'll drop me.
So then you'll have to give it up, right?
I can't let a client down, and you wouldn't want me to walk out on Chris, would you?
You really care about your friend, and I respect you for taking this on, but I don't want to see you lose your position.
It's true, I might.
But that would be irresponsible. People have to be realistic. I certainly learned that. You can't give up your job for some sentimental whim.
It's more than a whim, Doris.
Stop dreaming, Fred.
There's something very beautiful and compelling about that old man, and I won't let him down. I'm a damn good lawyer. Come on, Doris, have faith in me.
I do. But it's more than a question of faith. You're bound to lose this case. That's just common sense.
Doris, faith is believing in something when common sense tells you not to. Your problem is that you've just got too much common sense.
It's a good thing one of us does. It's quite an asset sometimes.
Can't you get over being afraid of letting go and believing in people? People like Chris, and in love and laughter and all other intangibles?
You can't pay the rent with intangibles.
And you can't live without them. At least, I can't. I thought Chris and I had broken through your armor, Doris, and you had been more open-minded and open-hearted. Well, there's no use talking, is there? We don't have a lot of thoughts and feelings in common, do we?
Suppose not.
Then there's nothing more to say.
You know, it's ironic. With all my common sense, I really thought it was going to work out this time.
Me too.
Goodbye, Fred.
As my first witness, I call R.H. Macy.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
Are you Miss R.H. Macy, owner of one of the largest department stores in New York City?
Yes, and 51 stores nationwide.
Right. And is Mr. Kringle one of your employees?
Yes,
Do you believe him to be sane?
definitely.
Do you believe him to be truthful?
Miss Macy, remember you are under oath.
Miss Mara, you will have a chance to cross-examine the witness when Mr. Gailey is finished.
Perhaps I can ask Miss Morris a question for her. Miss Macy, do you believe Mr. Kringle to be Santa Claus?
Yes.
No further questions. Miss Mara, you may step down.
I want that Sawyer fired.
As my next witness, I call Dr. Pierce.
Dr. Pierce, please take the stand. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
Dr. Pierce, you're the resident physician at the Maplewood home, are you not? And you've known Mr. Kringle for many years. Do you believe him to be Santa Claus?
Yes.
I'm sorry, doctor. Could you say that a little bit louder so the whole court can hear you?
Yes, I do.
Dr. Pierce, you are a woman of science, are you not? Have you any logical, scientific reasons for your
Miss
opinion?
Mara, I want to caution you again. You may question the witness after Mr. Gailey is finished.
Did you express a Christmas wish several weeks ago?
Yes.
What was it?
I asked for an x-ray machine for the Maplewood facility.
And what arrived at Maplewood home yesterday?
An x-ray machine.
Where did it come from?
The card attached said, Merry Christmas from Kris Kringle.
Thank you, Doctor. Your witness?
Dr. Pierce, lots of presents come with cards saying, from Santa Claus. Do you know of any other possible donors?
No, I do not.
Now, be careful, Dr. Pierce. We are in a court of law, and only tangible facts and logical testimony can be accepted as evidence. Now, would you please tell the court why you feel an expensive machine such as this came from an old man who has only a temporary Christmas job at a department store?
Because he is the only one to whom I spoke about my Christmas wish. In fact, I said, Chris, if I get this x-ray machine, I'll know you are really Santa Claus. And I did, so I do.
We sit down.
I call Jim Duncan.
This way. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I do.
Be seated.
Are you a zookeeper at the Central Park Zoo?
Yes, I am.
Jim, tell us about Mr. Kringle.
Well, Chris has a wonderful way with the reindeer. It's uncanny. I'm an antelope man myself. Been for years. But I've always had difficulty with them reindeer. The only time I can get near them is when they're restrained. But yet, these same reindeers can walk up to Mr. Kringle and eat out of his hand.
This is irrelevant and immaterial. Mr. Gailey is making a circus out of this proceeding. What, does he now plan to have the reindeer testify, for heaven's sake? There's no such person as Santa Claus. Everybody knows it.
Order in the court.
Your Honor, may I ask a smarter question? All the witnesses have testified that not only is there a Santa Claus, but he is sitting in this courtroom. Can you offer any positive proof that there is no Santa Claus?
Well, no, I can't. And I don't intend to try. This is not a nursery, Mr. Gailey. This is a New York